That's a cute box.
It's for my mouse.
Oh.
Focus.
Can you send me that video?
Yeah. It's on Eric's phone.
Can you send me other videos? I like that, dude. That's so detailed. Pretty cool. I think you can zoom in more. Set up there. It's got a nice frame. Yeah. Do you have the battery for that? I mean, I have a portable charger, but I don't know if I can plug it in. Hopefully it's plugged in. Oh, fuck. I thought it said I got one. I thought it was fine.
You know what?
Another one. I don't know. Go to progress.
Just, don't worry about this.
Oh,
Absolutely.
is that the anchor?
Not even. This is the
Oh, I have
the Charmass.
Charmander.
Yeah. It has like 18 times as many ports.
Wow. Should have cheated a little harder. Should have just trusted me.
I'm
Did
gonna
you
set
need
this
any,
right here.
did you need any tutoring for what project, man?
This is a big finesse.
Start. So original plan is that we move on to the new topic, that's the form authentication, with the form authentication. But since I received quite a few questions regarding Lab 5, and the Lab 5 is more complicated, is I think most complicated the lab. It covers all aspects, almost all aspect of the ASP.NET web form development, and also it involves quite a few techniques we normally use. It is not part of ASP.NET, but the technique we use to make our code more user friendly and also make our code more maintainable. So that's why I decided we slow down a little bit. Instead of doing new content tonight, we're going to cover have a walkthrough about to look at how I implemented the complete lab 5. The content of lab 6 we will cover lab 6 after midterm anyway. The content of lab 6 is not planned to be on the midterm, so we do not have to worry about it. So next week at this time we will not have a lecture for ASP.NET lecture. Instead we will use our time for the PHP midterm. So I will send a notice, and then week after next we are going to have a midterm of this the ASP.NET, and the midterm will cover the 1 to 5, level 1 to 5, the content of 1 to 5. So make sure you really understand the lab 5 and complete lab 5 independently. You may ask questions among themselves, but after finish lab 5, when you close your eye, you know that what you did during the lab 5, because lab 5 is a complete I would see that it is for actually commercial grade application, because consider every aspect, and you should be able to talk about your implementation of lab 5 comfortably. So if you want to during interview, we ask your past experience. Well, all my experience, I've been in school all the time, and all my experience is my lab. You should be able to comfortably get it ready to show people and comfortably talking about your implementation, your consideration, like inheritance, and also all this aspect to it. So make sure you can do it without hesitation. Okay, so as lab 5, as we, the structure, the very first important thing about a large application, when you have a large application, is to lay a solid sound structure of the application, not everything in one folder. As we know that we talked about the layered architecture. In the layered architecture, we have a clear separation of the data access business layer and the presentation. Presentation is about the web pages, our pages, and the business layer is your all the business logicals, and the data access layer is you interact with the database. All the part. In ASP.NET, in almost in all the applications, when we logically we have a layered architecture on MVC, all this architecture, but physically, how do we define our the layer? How do we separate the layers of different things? It's using folder. So each folder is considered as a layer. So you can see that I have no way to zoom in this part. So you may have to look hard of this. So you may have in the ASP.NET, this is the ASP.NET specifically. It automatically it creates a folder for the app underscore code. So app code is a folder, ASP.NET folder. But within this folder, you should have a separate layer to separate folder to contain the code in different layers. So the sound architecture is your very first step to concur onto handling a large application. For small application, you do not need all this. You can just sit down and write your code, and without even thinking about it. But for large application, you have before you walk, you have to have a look to where are you going, and then you have to lay out your structure. So the structure is for the layered architecture, as you can see, the structure is always the business layer, presentation layer, and the data access layer. The data access layer commonly we use DAL. So if you walk into a project, join a project as a new member in the project and review existing code, review other people's code, if you see DAL, you know that these are the place that contains the code to handle the data access. Fortunately for us, and because of Microsoft Entity Framework, the most thing we have in the DAL is the code we have here is the generated code. So you do not have to write code. But if you join a project and you may find out that that project using the old like ADO.NET, then you will have a lot of code in here. So to consume, you will have you need to really understand and to digest the code in there for data access to see how it creates the SQL command and the SQL statement and create the SQL command object and data access and the connection object to send the command over. But for the newer, the modern ASP.NET application, we always use the entity framework. So we always generate the code here. So generate the code here. And then for the business layer, it is more of your business consideration. Here I put one code for because our project for this lab, there's not many business requirements there. So you just all you need is you put in the code you have and put in enter a course and then you save it or you change it. So it is more of a pass through the business layer. So when you consider a business layer, it is more of a pass through. So you do not have a business logical, much business logical like if you have a certain business logical there. So for example, the full-time student has a limit of certain number of courses, a certain number of hours. Those you may give your code here. So all I put here as an example is a student comparer by name. So this is the business rule, because in this particular application, the business requirement says that you have to sort the student by last name, and then first name, and then the student numbers. So these are the business rules. So you can put the code here as your business the logic. But if you choose, so for this particular lab, if you choose use the lambda expression to do the on choose with the method list extension, like sort by, order by, and then by, and then by. If you use that method to sort, building the list extension method, building extension method, you do not need to have this. But what you need to, you can create a folder there and host in case you want to put any business logic there. But if you don't, it's okay. We may only have the presentation there and the data access layer. So this is the presentation. They are presentation and then data access. They are situations like the presentation and data access directly come down here, because there is not many business logic out there. So in this case, but you should, in general, you should have a layer here. Okay, the presentation layer, we have a base page. This is a commonly used technique. As we know that when we create our web form, automatically that web form will inherit the code behind, will inherit from the web page, the system, the web page will automatically inherit from this the UI system UI page. So if you use the tool to create a web form there, you will automatically have this one. However, for each application, you will have some common setup to do. Before, for every page, you will have some common setup to do. Like in this case, to generate to set the top menu, that is our common task to do. So you, in this case, because if you find yourself repeating yourself multiple times, it is a strong indication of you should do an inheritance, because the common part should be extracted to some base class on something. So what I did here is we create a base page, and all our pages, pages, SPX page, the code behind will inherit from this base page, and this base page will set up the top menu. In your lab 4, you already learned how to set up the top menu. So here it is relatively easy. So just repeating what you have. I gave you this in the package. I gave you the code here. So we should have a look at the code here. So this is remember, this is a common technique. Whenever you see you repeat, you are repeating yourself multiple times, you should consider doing the inheritance. So you should be able to reasoning with yourself. I should not repeatedly code myself. One is you save a lot of keystroke, right? Type. The second, the more important thing is when you inherit from a common part, is whenever you do need a change, you will find yourself need to change things again and again during the development of the application, especially large application. So if you inherit from common base, it means that whenever you do a change, everything else will be changed together. Like here, if I want to change my menu item, want to add a new menu item, or I want to just change the wording of a menu item, like add student records, or add courses, I want to change something. Maybe I want to change this to add academic records. Right? So every page, if it inherits from this base page, it will change. So I will have it automatically changed. I do not have to go through the search and replace global search and replace, you will find out that often leads to some mistakes. So this portion is extracted from the previous lab 4 and move it to the common part, because in lab 4 you find yourself repeating yourself. On 2 pages you repeat yourself. So instead you can extract it to the base page. So that's the one part we use. You do not have to do this, but when you do this, it makes your code better. So this is one part. And the other part is when you review your a little bit I also changed the master page a little bit. So when you look at the master page, the first part is we have the header. Here we have the header here, and then we have the content. We have our menu. We have our menu here is the button, and then we have the one side. It is linked to accounting college. This accounting college is the logo, AC logo, and then we have our home button. We have our home button here. So this is the top menu, and then we have our content. That's the same thing. But what added here is we have another section. So we have another section. It's called the ID is called scripts. So it means that when you look at this section, it means that we can, using this master page, we can insert our JavaScript at the bottom of the page. So we can have a section of, in the placeholder, we can have a section to insert our JavaScript. This is, now there is a trend is instead of you may in your JavaScript class, the course, you may learn that the JavaScript should be in the header. All your JavaScript, you should insert your JavaScript in the header part. So you can select to insert your JavaScript in the header part. But the current trend is that using put the JavaScript at the bottom of your page. As what's shown here is that the jQuery, this is the jQuery. We load the jQuery at the bottom, and also we load the Bootstrap. JavaScript relates the Bootstrap at the bottom, and then we have our page-specific JavaScript at the bottom of the page. The reason to do this is that you will, because now JavaScript become heavy and heavier and heavier. So there's a lot of JavaScript here. We only load the jQuery, but you may also jQuery and Bootstrap JavaScript. But we may also load some other big libraries, and also we may have our heavy JavaScript, our own JavaScript, to write at the involve our own JavaScript libraries and JavaScript code. So loading JavaScript itself becomes time-consuming. Load the JavaScript library and also load the other JavaScript code. So you will find if you move the JavaScript, this JavaScript part to the top of the page, you will find that your page will be blank, white blank, for a while before it displays something. You move JavaScript to the end, the result is that your page, content of your page will load, but it will freeze for a while until the JavaScript libraries and the other JavaScript package load. So which is better? Let users stare at a blank page, nothing, completely blank page, or let user look at something already exists, but freeze for a little bit, freeze for a couple of seconds. It is better to let user to look at the page, content of the page, freeze, the page itself freeze, you click a button, it will not respond. But for many people, unless he or she is already very familiar with the page, when page immediately loaded, the user immediately want to click something. for most people, they probably even don't realize that page is freeze for a little bit for a while, because they might stop to read the page and look at the content of page. So before they want to click on something, click any link, click any button, the JavaScript loading is finished, has already finished, and then you can refresh. So this is more of usability related part. So nowadays we always move the JavaScript to the end of the page instead of at the front. They leave it at the front of the page. Any question about this?
I think, is that what defer does? Like if you just put defer
Defer the loading?
yeah, if you put I think if you put defer as just like script defer source, I think you can put it in the head.
I don't think that's related to defer.
Okay.
Defer something. You may check. I'm not quite sure about that part. But if you leave it at the end, basically, it's always at the defer something. You may have the document undocument loaded, and then you have, but you still need to load those JavaScript libraries packages. So that's the other part of this. So the key part about the master page is that now we have compared with your lab 4. Besides the content, the header and the content, we also have at the foot, at the very end, after the foot, we have the script section, which allows you to insert script into insert your JavaScript or include your own package, maybe your package specific to your organization or specific to your application. So that's the one part. The other part is now if we move to the specific page, the add course. As you can see that in our add course, the add course part is relatively straightforward. I only want to see that the part is that we have this the content in our at the head. The CSS still has to all your CSS files still have to be at the top. So because otherwise it wouldn't, when the HTML element loads, it will not recognize those CSS parts. So you will, at the header content part, you will still put your CSS. If you have a specific link applicable to specifically this application, if you besides using the Bootstrap built-in CSS class, if you define any other CSS class, you can link it here. Here we call it site style.css. And then we have a content part. Content part is the same as what we have in our lab 4, except in this case we have it's still the same thing. So I can scroll down. So if you have not completed the lab 4 yet, so this part in the lab file, I did not require you to put the source to make the column head sortable. But you may if you haven't finished the lab 4 yet, you will be required. You need to do it, make the column head sortable. So here is to make it sortable. Basically, you print your header. You place your wrap your header, the table head, the course code, and the course title. Anchor tag, right? Make it anything as an anchor tag. But to send the data over to this when you click the the code, hyperlink code, it will come back to the same page as add course.aspx page. But we want to let the server know that, let the application know that I want to sort by code, or I want to sort by title. So you can add the query string with the sort equal code, sort equal title. This is your level 4 requirement. I have it in level 5 as well. And the table itself is blank. The key part is, I will come back to this section of JavaScript. Here you can see I use this section of the SP section content section, which is ID equals a script. It means that this code will be inserted at the bottom. That is my specific code, or that is my specific code. To if user want to delete any course in the list, any course in the course list, it will prompt the user. It will prompt the user to have a JavaScript dialog to see the course is going to be removed. Please confirm. So it's the course. So I will come back to this to see how why this works, why it has to be in this way. Okay, now let's go to the part for the let's go to the part for the add course part. So add course part. Now the class add course we will going to inherit. We are going to inherit from that base page. In the base page, in the presentation, in the presentation folder of presentation layer, because it is about presentation. So the base page will be in presentation folder. So it will inherit from the base page. And when the page load, so this page load will override the base page's page load. It means that when the page starts to load, it will call this page load instead of a base page's load. But we still need the base page's functionality and add on to it our own functionality. In this case, we call base.pageLoad. The base.pageLoad, that page load will give us the menu item at the top. The menu item at the top. But since this is add course page, so I do not want user to click that add course again. So I want to disable this menu item, add course menu item. I do not want to make this menu item clickable because that will confuse the user. Or you can remove it, but I choose in this case just want to choose it. I choose not clickable. So it means that every other button you can see every other are clickable, but this one is disabled. In this case, I still need to find the top menu. And find the top menu with, we know that it is a bulleted list, because if you go to the menu item, the master page, only this part is customizable. Let each application insert its own top menu items. So the add course is the very first item. Needed. So for the add course, we will get to the very first item and the setting enable equal false. So this part will disassemble the set course part. And then next one is that if it is not post back, so if it is not post back, it means that it is the very first access. User goes through the URL. User goes through the URL to access it. We want to set this course name, and we want to set the course number, and we want to make it the blank and make the course number the read-only as false, means the user can access enter a course number. Because during the editor, we do not want the user to be able to access the course number. So we will skip this part, and I will come back to explain how do we do the editor and change the existing editor, and also how do we do the delete part. And the next one is the part we have here is that okay, so there is something called a page pre-render. Page pre-render, there is two events happening. One is the page load. And then we have the button. Events as such, other type of event. And then we have a page pre-render. So the page pre-render is very much like a page load, but instead the page pre-render happens after the button click. So if you have something you want to show after the button click, you can add it to the page pre-render. You can move everything to the page pre-render, and as the button click, you change the value of the control. It is also doable there. So I would, in this case, I separate it into two parts. One is in the page pre-render, and in the page pre-render, I handle the situation of the user click the edit and or click the delete. But before we go to how user handle how we handle the editor and the delete part. So to allow user to edit a course, change the course title, or delete a course. Once again, in this case, we use that anchor tag, and we use see when I move my cursor to the editor, what is come back? It will come back to the same page. The URL is the same add course.aspx, and then I have action equal editor, and then code ID equals CSP 8259, means that this specifies that when I come to this page, again, what do I want to do? What is my action? Remember the word action. Once we move to the NPC, we will talk about the action a lot, because their action is the action. We have the action here. So it come from this place, the action and the control, and within the control we have action. So this means the action equals editor. Our action, if user click this button, the action equals editor, and the ID equals which action ID. Also you remember the action and the ID. ID identifies what the action should apply to. Against the action editor should be applied to the ID of this particular course. So if I move this thing down, you can see it is still action is still editor, but the ID changed to the other course. So how do we generate this line? So instead of when we generate our table, we generate this part. We are already familiar with generate our the table with this part. But this part, to generate this part, it is straightforward. The code is you can see the code here is when we have a show course info, we have the so besides the sorting part, we have the cell. We add the cell for the ID. The course ID, the cell is the course ID. The first cell is the course code, and the second cell is the course title. But the third cell, we have the now we have a new cell, and the third cell is a hyperlink. So you can see text equals a hyperlink, and that hyperlink loop back to the same page. Look back to the same page with the first one is actually equals the editor, and the ID equals the course code we just show here, displayed here. So it will we will have ID equals course.code, and then it is added. This is the clickable, our hyperlink clickable part. And with a vertical bar separated, you can use whatever way to separate it. But traditionally, we use a vertical bar to separate this. And then this is, of course, with the hyperlink with href equals add course. We go back to this page. But actually, this time actually is delete. We want to delete. Delete which course? The ID uniquely identify that course. So the course.code. The course.code. So we have the ID equals code. So this way, we pass back to the user our action and also our target of that action, target and of that action. So we generate this section of code. We generate this section of code. Right? So now, what we want also to do is when user click this delete button, when user click this delete hyperlink, we also want to prompt the user with a dialog to confirm. So like in this case, we also want to, when user click, we also want to see that the selected course will be and student records, because course has a student records, and you need to delete. You cannot delete the course without deleting the student records. It will violate the referential integrity, the database. So you will have an error out there. So we also want to this prompt to it. How do we attach the JavaScript? JavaScript to this line. The common technique we use is because this is a repeated line, it does not have ID. Unless you generate ID, but it is going to be difficult. So the jQuery allows us to attach the JavaScript by the jQuery allows us to find the elements by its class, CSS class. So here is we define this delete hyperlink as a CSS class as delete course. But this class does not really exist in our CSS file. So it is a fake CSS class. Instead, the purpose of it is so that we can find these items, all these items. We can find all this delete delete hyperlink, because they all have the class of delete course. They all have this class. So now we can go back to our page. So JavaScript here is in our JavaScript. In this part, we have a document ready and the function document ready dot some function. This is like a typical jQuery pattern. jQuery way of doing things is when document is ready, the page is fully loaded, HTML is fully loaded into browser, and then it will start to run this function. When it runs this function, what this function does is it will find all the elements with the CSS class with delete course and attach a function to the click. So when you click that hyperlink delete, when you click that hyperlink delete, this function will run. This JavaScript function will run. And this JavaScript function, what it does, is it call the JavaScript compilation dialog. Come with a JavaScript compilation dialog. So that dialog has two options, yes or no, okay on cancel. Depends on the okay on cancel, depends on the result. So when it says cancel, it will come with a false. When it says okay, it will come with true. The result will come with true. So when it comes with when the result user click cancel, it means it comes with false. So with not false, it becomes true. So if user click the cancel, it will come into this area. When it comes into this area, it will return false. Return false means cancel the event. So the hyperlink will not go. So nothing will happen basically. Cancel that event. So if user click cancel button, nothing will happen because it will not go back to the same page again. It will not go back to the same page again because you canceled that event. So this is also a part which the technique we often use is that if you want to attach, if you have a single element, you want to attach a JavaScript want to attach an event handler to it, you use ID, right? You can. Any single part element, you can put ID in it, and then you can use find by ID. That's their document already. With a dollar sign with this is the ID of the element, right? It's defined by ID. But in this case, because we do not really know how many courses, before we finish loading, we do not know how many courses we have. So we have a list of items. If you need to attach a JavaScript to a list of multiple elements, the best way to do it is either by type, but there's the hyperlink. You can just see A. So you can just find A. This is find the hyperlink, or the hyperlink anchor tag, right? But now we also have the anchor tag for the code, anchor tag for the title, because they are sortable in this case, and also anchor tag for the edit. So it will not useful to us because we do not want the prompt for the compilation for edit, compilation for code, and compilation for title. So in this case, if you have no other way, you can always create so this is find by this dot. It is you find all the elements with this particular CSS class. But that class does not have to exist in your CSS file or in the Bootstrap. This is just for the sake of it will not take any effect when you have this CSS file. If it does not, it happen missing. If this CSS file happen like not defined anywhere, it's okay. So it will just do nothing. Instead, now we have a way to find all this delete element and attach something to it, attach a JavaScript to it. So now you can do this. We find that delete the course, and then we attach the event handler to the click So when you click it, we catch an event handler. So to go through to cancel an event, you can return true, but by default it will return. It will not cancel the event. So if you can return, you can return true. Here, it doesn't matter whether you return true or not. If you do not return false, the event will continue. Yeah.
For the add course page, the sort was like the link on the source code and title, that was only for like 3, right?
Level 4 and level 3. Level. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, 4 is in the sort. It's only for level 3.
But for lab 5, it's not necessary?
No, it is not necessary, but I made this more complete as a complete application, so you can choose to do it or you can choose not to do it. It's
And also like for students, we have to sort by name?
I don't remember, probably you.
Because they didn't see the requirement.
Okay, if it's not in the requirement, then you don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So any questions about this part? So this is the important part. So it is not in this .NET, but it is a command that you need to use very often.
On the side of your provider, it shows everything. On the left, you have a folder called app data.
Yeah, app data is the data, the database. The Microsoft, the SQL Server database can be just in one file, so you can just use save. This is the place very often if you want a portable application, portable database, you can have it here, but you do not need to.
Okay, because mine didn't create the app.
No, you do not need to have this one. App data, that's if you want your database portable. The database, the whole SQL Server database can be in MDF file, and this is the place you put your file. Or if you have the text file contain the data, you can have it here. The app data, that's the Microsoft convention.
So where it is right now, the student record valid portion is where it is, like for everybody else, that's fine?
Yes, yes. This is the portion you access the database. Okay, now come back to the part we have. We can continue. So add course in the add so display course we need add this display, and you do not have to do the sorting. Lab 3 sorting part you already done the sorting, and so you can skip this part. I make it more complicated, more complete this application, but you do not have to because you already did it in lab, did it in other lab. So this is just the show course part. Okay, now let's look at the page load part. So if it is a post back, we clean up this part. But if it is not post back, if it is otherwise, we can, regardless it is a post back or not, we will look at to see that if the query string contains the action, and the action is equal editor. So what we do is, because we know that the button here, we only have one button. Submit course info. So there are situation is that when we click this button, if user enter everything new here. So if I enter the news, so the web programming 5. So if I enter the uses, when I click this button, it should insert a new item into the database course table. But if I choose to see, like what I did here is, yeah, when it come back, I should have my 8th lab programming 5. You already have enough of the web programming, you don't want to 5, it is much. 4 is enough, I can have 4, right? The programming, web programming 1, web programming 2, web programming language 1, web programming language 2. So, this button will insert a complete new course into the database. But there are also cases when I click the edit button, say I want to edit my, if I want to edit my the CST 2200 and the database course, this button, if I change the title, see, to remove the administration, just the management system, and submit course information. As you can see, 2200 now change it, remove the administration part. So the same button will do 2 different things. Depends on what is coming in. Right? One is insert, another is update. Insert a new course and update an existing course. They are 2 different things. So in this case, what I would like to handle this situation is that I will create 2 function, 2 event handler. One is save new course event handler. Another is save change event handler. So if user clicked that editor hyperlink, then the request dot parameter, the query string action will have a value, and that value will equal edit. So in this case, I will remove, as we always have, the event handler, attach a new event handler. So we need first to remove the save new course event handler. I do not want to save the new course. In this case, I want to insert the save the change to the existing course. You cannot treat the existing course as a new course, because otherwise you will get an error, primary key unique violation error, right? So you have to, so this is, we have 2 event handlers. One is for the save new course, another is save change. So in case of the editor, we have a value, action has a value, action, the query string has the action, and its value equal edit. What I want to do is I want to remove that event handler. In case it is already attached to the save button, click, I want to remove it, minus equal. And then I want to add my event handler, attach the event handler, save change. Otherwise, I want to do the other way around, remove the save change and add attach the new save new course. So these 2 event handlers, they do 2 different things in a very different way. So here is when you click that save button. So now I do not have to worry about whether it is a change, whether it is a change event, change existing course or save a new course, because the event handler, it will call the right event handler here. So in the case of save new course, what I have here is course equals get the course code, and then I will get the entity context. As we know that when you're dealing with the entity framework, you always start with the entity context, and you wrap it inside the using block. This will guarantee us that when the context finish, when the data access finish, it will release all the resources. And now I want to find out if this course is already in the database or not. So user enter a course code, but we want to, because course code is the primary key and it should be unique, so you cannot save a new course, enter a new course with the same course code. So it was select from C in entity context, dot entity context is here, dot courses. And where C equals C dot code. So the code equals course code. The course code is user entered. And select C. Either we get one or we don't, because we know that this is the primary key. We do the select by primary key.
What's the first or default method?
First and default is because in the database query, you always get a set of data coming back. But we know that since this is
Oh, you only
primary
want the
key,
one, yeah.
Yeah, either you get one, the very first one,
Or
or you don't.
Yeah, yeah.
So here is I want to get the first one. If there's no first one, the empty list, in case it is empty list, then there's a default. Default is null by default.
Yeah.
The default is null. So if it is not equal null, it means that course code already exists. We put a course number exists dot text equals the course with this code already exists. We display, we do nothing, back to the same page, and this display this arrow. Display this arrow. If this selection comes with a null, means that this course code does not exist yet. In that case, we can continue to save the course, right? Save the course into the database. So here is save the course in the database. To save a course in the database, it's easy. So all we need to do is course equals new course, and create a new object, course object, and we have the course.code equals course code that user entered, and the course title equals course title. And all we need to do is add this new course object to the context, the entity context of courses that list, add the course to the list, and then we say save change. Save change, it will save the course to the database. It will save the course to the database. Now I have a redirect here. When you click that button, without redirect, everything still works. Everything still works, but there is a catch. So here, see, let me show you. Without redirect. You may already encounter this problem. Here, okay, it's still like this, and in the code, okay, now web programming 6. So what you will notice is that if you want to refresh this page, users often do this. When they refresh this page, it says that the page, do you want to resubmit that data? Do you want to resubmit that data? And when you click, what happened here? Because the same data, we resubmit and with the same button. So it tries to insert the same course again. Right? When you do the refresh the page, it will try to, you don't see it here, but basically it will send the same HTTP request to the server. That same HTTP request is the same as when you click submit course information to save that new course. So this is a common problem with a web page, is that you often see that your bank, when you buy something, not to refresh your page, or not to click the back button, or not to refresh your page, because you may risk place the same order twice, right? So here is when you do a page refresh, you will find the same thing here happened. It tried to insert the same course again, make the same HTTP request, we need to insert again. So what the redirect here is all we want to do with the redirect is wipe out the previous, the browser remembers the previous HTTP request. So when you do the page refresh, it submits that HTTP request again. So this redirect back to the same page, it will wipe out the browser's memory of previous HTTP request. So here is we do this, and then we have this. If we do this button again, now we do not have to worry about that same page. Reload this page and create another web program. Here now we use submit. Nothing will happen because you have no the previous HTTP request is wiped out. So this is not only this technique is not only just for ASP.NET. In PHP, you will use this technique again because when you have a HTTP submit the calculation on you later on when we rotate the image when we delete the image, you will have the same thing. So here is the same thing will happen again here for the delete. So in the page pre-render, we will handle that part, the delete. So if the action equals delete, if the action equals delete, we need to find out which course to delete, right? Okay, done. Let me backtrack a little bit. So we need to add it. Now, this is the same change. We attached, when user click that button to change, to make a change for a course. See here is when user click that button to edit a course. Edit a button, edit course. As you can see, we come to this page with the editor and the ID equals the 8000 CST 8000. And when user click this button, and this time this when user click the link to editor, we make this read only, and we make this title be changeable. And this button now is attached. The click event is attached to here. Is attached to save change event handler. So save change event handler, we get the course code to find out which one we want to change, and then we get the entity context. We need to find that course. So the course equals entity context dot course, and where the course equals course code, and then find first and the default. Basically, this part is find out which course user want to change. We find out which course user want to change, right? Which course user want to change, and then if this course is not now, it means that they are something. This course does exist. It's just important. And then we do the change. Here is the course name equal course title is the course name dot text, and we change the context. Basically, get the course name, the text, the modified course title, assign it to that course. We find out in the context dot course list, and we change it. We save it. We modify. In this case, we modify the state, and then we save the change. And also, we redirect it back to the same page. We do not want to change it one more time. We do not want to change it one more time. Right? So, this is, again, wipe out the HTTP request. the browser, the HTTP request the browser state. So for delete, it's here. So we get to when the page pre-render, you can have this section together with you can have this section together with the other, with the page load. I move it to the page pre-render because I prefer the page load is just setting things up. So here is if the request equals action, and if it happens to the action happens equals delete, then I get to the course code, find out which course code to delete, and then go through the selection from if the course not equal now, what I have to do is go back to delete. I think I have the PowerPoint slides of this section to delete all the academic record attached to this course, because when you delete a course has a list of academic record attached to it. We need to delete them first. So we have the course academic record and remove all the academic record. And then after we remove all the academic record, and then we can remove the course itself. And finally we save the change and we redirect it back. So the same thing here is that we redirect it back to wipe out the HTTP request. This time the request is here. The course web programming 5. If I want to delete CES, you can see if I do not have that redirect, what will happen is that delete will still be there. So in case I do not have that redirect. So now let's delete that web programming 7. Delete and say OK. As you can see, web programming 7, you can see it is here, right? That delete is here again, and it is not gone, it's still here. But when I reload the page, if I want to refresh this page, it's already gone in the database. You will get it. If user choose to either do this one more time or do the refresh, it will give me an error because that course is already gone around the database. So what it can here is to see that unhandled exception. So the now reference because it cannot find that course at all. So this way, when we do a redirect, we wipe out whatever in that URL query string, and also we refresh the page to get the right. So yeah, you can see the course is gone. So if I remove that 6, and I see yes, and you can see that URL is gone, that query string is gone because I redirect to the same page. It wipe out the browser's memory and also the course is gone. Right. So any questions? Yeah, this is like a complete probably. The next part is for the student part, it is exactly the same thing. You can do the same thing. I do not have to do anything here. Yeah. So you will have a drop down list, and that part, as you already did in your lab 3, the only part is that for add, you can add it. You can add a change to it, or you can delete the student. So you can change it to it. So everything else is within, but the grid is changed. So you can do the same technique, either add a new student or attach it and add a student to complete a new student, or can modify the existing student using the same technique, same code. Any questions? Yeah, I think that's pretty much heavy already, so I could not want to go any further. Like, I think that we will start. The test is 2 weeks.
I do have a question about the clarify.
Yeah.
Like, it's been right?
Do it all in C sharp. In that case, you will have to make it a big string. Whatever C sharp is, you can generate a string in it that will make your code a lot more difficult. Instead, you write here, it actually can give you a lot more convenient. What you need to do otherwise, you will have to do it inside. Like add student is the same delete student. So this part, you will create a string, encode all this, and escape. Unlike PHP, you can use a single string, double quote, single quote. In ASP.NET, only the single quote is double quote is considered. So you will have to use all the maneuvers to really do it. So the best way to do it is here. Yeah, ESPX. Any other questions? So dynamically attach the P part. Once again, the P part is you dynamically insert, and it's always insert and the update. They are two different database tasks. So you need to handle it differently. So in this case, the best way to separate it is attach different event handlers based on the data you receive. To attach an event handler, either you add a new student or you add a new student or you change it. So that makes you have two separate event handlers specifically handle two different things. So make it life a lot easier. Any questions? Yeah, no question. I will see you on Friday. If you not tomorrow. Tomorrow, usually I will also not many people come, and I will also do the lab. Either check your lab form, do some lab questions. Tomorrow is the last day for the PhD lab. So probably not tomorrow, but next week they are PhD labs.
So do we have nothing for PHP Lab next week?
No, nothing due. Next week I will use the PHP lab time for the ASP.NET. So if you have questions regarding Web 5 implementation, next week's PHP.
She did.
Yeah.